Thanks, Brandon!
Oh, goodness.
Yep, I've forgotten what my real face looks like.
Little scars though.
He does.
I was bleeding.
Which, just like you, makes me an anomaly, an aberration. Watch the switch. You're too young to be on steroids, but...
And then they got like clip-on mics, but they were they did a test run, and I guess that for what we were doing, they weren't good enough, so we had to like hold these little rinky-dink microphones. I was like, guys, this looks bad. You know?
I kind of love that. Like when they interview the cats and the dogs, they use the little tiny baby
I've
mic.
never seen that.
Oh.
I'll have to check that. That's funny.
I just millennialed myself. That's all right. It's fine. They're really funny. Yeah, I am, but I'm millennial. So anyway, are we going? Yeah. Okay, I never know.
That's good. Attention. That makes it feel authentic.
Because it is. There's nothing. I'm way too lazy to fake anything. Introduce yourself, because I like that best.
Should I do it to the camera or to you? Or
no, I know who you are. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Hello. I am the Punk Rock Pyromaniac, Shawn Phoenix, hailing out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The build from the pit could mean Pittsburgh, could mean the mosh pit. Who's to say?
Maybe it's a mosh pit in Pittsburgh.
Could be. There are times you will find me there.
Yeah. That's scary.
I enjoy going to. I have no musical talent whatsoever.
Okay.
But I enjoy going to concerts probably more than actual wrestling. Like
going to concerts?
Yeah, I have no musical talent, but just the aspect of like seeing my favorite bands. Like it's such a cool moment, and with me being a small guy, I do whatever I can to get front row. So at that moment for that, entire set list, other than crowd surfers, it's just me and the artist. Wow. And it doesn't matter how many people are in the room, doesn't matter if it's, sold out venue or whatever. It just feels like me and them. And I actually went to a concert around actually this time last year, and I got front row, of course. And afterwards, like I get to venues like way too early, and
I do the same thing
to get front row because it's not a given.
No,
and there's been times where I've done that, and there's like pay like $40 and skip the line. I'm like, been waiting here for 3 hours, and wish I would have done. But so I got front row, and then I ran into like 3 different separate friend groups that were like all scattered throughout.
Oh, that's fun.
And they were like, "Oh, we saw you. You were going crazy." And I kept hearing that, and then it got to the point where it was like, I hope I didn't ruin that for you. But they're like, no, I think you're having fun. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like people would send me videos of just like literally just me and the artist. So
that's
like, yeah,
great.
Yeah. So I just can't monetize being in concerts,
No, that's really hard to monetize.
Yeah, because I have no musical talent, So that would be the only way to kind of get that itch scratches if I was a musician. Since I'm not.
No, you could do what I do. You can help. You could work.
That's true.
I help. God dang it.
I've considered doing security for venues because like going as frequently as I can, I start to like remember some of the people. And I've considered it, but they're not watching. They're watching the crowd, and I don't think I could do that. Like they're watching to make sure there's,
Okay.
That would be the only thing that I could probably realistically do that would be as close as possible. But like having my back to them would be pretty like.
Okay.
So.
I could dig that. I could dig that. So you like it better than wrestling? You like wrestling,
hard to say.
Right?
It's hard to say because like, it's I love wrestling and I love performing, but being front row at a concert of one of my favorite bands, it's not so much me performing, it's just me enjoying. Where I like the aspect of performing, I get enjoyment from that, but there's stress, there's anxieties, there's fears, there's insecurities that come with that. But when I'm not the focal point and it's just pure enjoyment, then there really is no negative. So I guess in that aspect, I would say that I enjoy it that much more, but also it's a little bit taxing because it's like, so I think the longest wrestling match I ever did was probably like near like a half hour. And like that's,
wait, in a row?
Yeah, just a consecutive half hour match. It may have been 45 minutes actually, but so that's pretty like rigorous. Where a concert is
Yeah.
like 2 hours of incredible energy, and it's like, okay, like come 11 o'clock, I start to like, all right, guys, start checking the set list online, like, but like that's really the only real negative to it is just like how long it is. But then like if it's a band I really like, then it, you know, I get disappointed that it's not longer.
You forget about how long it is when it's something you enjoy.
Yep.
I get that.
That's the train. That's my ride.
That's your ride.
Yeah, I just hop
Awful.
on them.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not going to judge you for it. I would never.
I actually, it's funny that we were talking about mosh pits. I actually almost died at a concert.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I figure that's
What?
probably information to share.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm always a front row, you know, concert attendee.
Okay.
I do whatever I can to get front row. So Riot Fest in Chicago is a 3-day festival, and it has probably like 10,000 to 20,000 concert attendees in Chicago, and there's like multiple stages all throughout.
Okay.
And this particular, I think it was 2014 or 15, one of the headliners was System of a Down. And coincidentally, I just really got into them, you know, a couple months prior. I knew their radio hits, but I never really, you know, dove into them. And I was like, oh, cool, they're going to be playing Chicago. I was planning on going to this anyway. Like, this is cool. Like, this is, you know, kind of meant to be. Well, I didn't time my, you know, route to that stage in, you know, a good enough time to kind of get to the front. I misjudged it because, you know, so for example, the two main stages are like right next to one another.
Okay.
So when one band is playing, this band is setting up. And as soon as this band's done, boom, back and forth.
Okay.
And there's also one scattered throughout. So I figured, okay, well, while somebody is playing on this stage, you know, 3 bands before System of a Down, I'll go in this stage and, you know, make my way. I guess everybody else had that idea too.
I can't say I blame them.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't tell you when well, since then, I don't even know when the next time they played America was. But it always tends to rain that weekend, and it is muddy and yucky. I like specifically wore boots the one year because I knew how, like the prior year, my shoe would get stuck.
Oh,
you know,
God.
yeah, it's pretty bad because it's just in a park in Chicago. Like it's not on asphalt or anything. But I want to say Merle Haggard was playing. Rest in peace. Then Billy Idol on the stage next to it. Yeah, which is really cool. And then after Billy Idol was System of a Down. So when Billy Idol started playing, the crowd that I was in was getting hyped as well.
I mean,
And yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, you could see him, he's just not right in front of you. But at one point, we were so packed together that just the movement of the bodies, I remember specifically, I could pick my legs up off the ground and I was still moving. I was like, this is fun.
I mean,
That's a warning sign right there. That is a warning sign. So it was hot and everything like that just because the body heat. But then System of a Down starts playing.
Oh, Lord.
It's muddy. At this point, they're the headliner of that particular day.
Oh.
So more people are coming into the pit, like rows and rows back. There probably had to be like 50 plus rows. Well, I fell over. Somebody that fell over as well.
Oh.
And I had gotten up and looked, and there was actually like a wall of people, like really like holding the barricade of people because there was a lot of people that were falling down. Like there was a big gap, and people were just falling down, and they were doing whatever they could to make sure that they weren't, you know, being pushed forward. And then I went down again, and then it was just a repeating thing. I would start to, you know, kind of, somebody would get off of me, and then somebody would fall back on top of me.
Oh.
It sounds terrifying.
It does. I'm terrified just thinking about it happening.
And at one point, I actually went down earlier, and I was like, it wasn't a pocket of air. Like, it was like the bodies, and the air was really hot and heavy.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's awful.
But I stayed calm. My parents are paramedics, and they've warned me that in a situation like that, to avoid your best chance of, you know, survival is to avoid being on your chest or your back.
Okay.
Because if you get trampled on, then your chest can't expand, you can't breathe.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remain calm, thinking, okay, you know, as long as I don't go on my chest or my back, I'm okay. And I remember even like telling people, as we were all on the ground. Like, hey, do whatever you can to make sure you don't, and people are like, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, it's a life-saving thing if you're ever in a situation like that. So I'm remaining calm in that aspect, and also because I think to myself, this air is so thick and heavy. If I freak out, I don't know how much oxygen is down here.
I mean, yeah, fair point. Yeah, you could like hyperventilate.
Yep, very, very easily. So I'm remaining calm, and then at one point somebody, I don't know how they fell, but I was on my side, like actually on my side. I wasn't in a sitting position, and somebody in front of me, closer to the stage, fell and pushed me chest down, and they were they were like on like my shoulder blade area. So like I was trying to do whatever I could, but I didn't know what they were fighting. I don't know if somebody was like leaning on them, like I don't know. So I'm starting to freak out a little bit because this isn't good. Right? Pretty valid.
Jeez.
And then like I'm doing whatever I can to fight. Then this person got up and somebody immediately fell down onto my leg. So then I can't get up and twist my body. And then somebody was on the back of my head.
Oh my God.
That's when panic set in.
Again?
Because I also mentioned it was rainy.
Oh.
So it was muddy, and there was a giant puddle of water that my face was getting pushed down into.
Oh my God, I would have freaked out so much.
Yep. And at that point I'm thinking, I'm either going to suffocate or I'm going to drown.
Yes.
And now I need to fight for my life. And I don't know if the person was sitting on my head, standing on my head, laying on my head, but having like my head being pushed down and my legs, and I was doing whatever I could to push. I was like almost like hysterical and screaming, trying to do whatever I could, and like really weird. I had like an intrusive thought of like, I think I heard this from Bret Hart, and I kind of had a similar thing of like a newspaper, like indie wrestler from Pittsburgh dead in concert in Chicago, like a headline. Like I kind of visualized that, and it was my mom's birthday.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to die on my mom's birthday, and it's no secret my mom and I are close. I have a heart mom tattoo, and I remember just like fighting for my life and like pleading to, as an atheist, I was even like pleading to God.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
because I didn't know what else to do, right?
Worth a shot, right?
If I could have started pleading to Santa Claus, anybody, right? Well, then I start feeling really, really weak and really tired, and then like my eyes start like closing involuntarily, and I remember the last thought I had was, well, this is what it's like to die.
Oh, wow.
That's a really heavy thing to think about, right? And I had nothing, I couldn't do anything about it. It was just happening. And the next thing I know, I was floating and not quite aware of my surroundings, but I knew that I was above people's heads, like for sure. Well, it turns out that the band had stopped playing and paramedics were rescuing me from the crowd and carrying me out of the crowd.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So had that band not stopped playing, I would have been dead.
So Disturbed saved your life?
No, System of a Down.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Look,
in a way, yes, you could say they saved it. But also they kind of contributed. Like had I not, but then I don't blame them. But like the thing is,
that's scary.
The thing that was hard was that, so say I was maybe like 10th row, right? Well, they're the headliner of a weekend festival and they haven't played America in so long. You can't tell row 127 to stop pushing forward, having that wave effect. So that's why those people had that, like, they were making that barricade, but that was the issue, was you can't convey that message. Stop, there's people down. So as long as the band is playing, the energy is up. The hell was that?
Putting the ring light.
Messily, apparently.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like it should have been.
No. So like they took me like behind, the stage, and they were like, "You want to go to the hospital?" It's like, no. Like my shirt was soaking wet, so they took that off. And then I realized I lost my cell phone.
Oh.
I was separated from my friends because they saw somebody else, and we were, I was there. So I was like, okay, well, I know we were going to meet at this place. So we went, we I hung out there, and they were like, "Where's your shirt?" Like they met up with me. I was like, at this point, like I became hysterical, and I was like, and then my buddy,
Sorry.
right? Because like they had no idea, but like
they were probably like,
yeah, right?
aghast.
Yeah, they had no clue. And they just see me with mud in my hair. I think I had green and blue hair at the time, but it was brown at that point. And not wearing a shirt in September in Chicago, and then just like hysterical. And then, so I'll name drop Matt Nix, Alex Olson, Chris Castro from Freelance Wrestling are my friends. This is who I was with. And also Matt Cross, Son of Havoc, from Lucha Underground, M-Dog 20, wrestles all over. So, and then Mark Andrews as well was with us. But Olson gave me his shirt, and then my buddy Matt Nix was like, "Oh, your cell phone is calling me right now."
Oh.
And it turns out that somebody had found my cell phone and saw.
That's so nice.
Yeah, they saw the most recent call with my buddy Nick, and they're like, "Hey, I found the cell phone." Oh, really? I'm here right now. So they went and met up, and then Matt Nix told me, he's like, at one point they said, like when the band was playing, he said, "It's really weird playing in front of people that look like they're dead." And then I thought, I hope that's not him. and it was me. And I didn't realize it. And then but it's needless to say, I survived.
Well, I mean,
I lived to tell the tale. But it's really funny because then we start walking to the car. Like we kind of gather our bearings and everything like that. We start walking to the car. I'm covered in mud, and then kind of like laughing about it, like this is great, right? Yeah,
alive. It's
exactly
stressful to process.
Right.
I get it.
Then my nose just starts bleeding.
Oh my god! Jesus.
And I was like, "What's going on?" Like I didn't know, so I was like, "They're like, oh, your nose is bleeding." I was like, "Take a picture." So he took a picture of it, and then like these like locals were like, yeah, you guys look real tough. And I was like, "You should see the other guy. The other guy was the ground." And then it was right. It was funny because at that point, Matt Cross pointed out that when he had first met up with me, I looked okay, but was hysterical. But now when I visually looked way worse, I was, completely okay and joking about it. And then I remember we went to like Denny's afterwards, and I was just like covered in mud, and I was like, I don't know what to do because we're here. So I just like, they went in first, my crew, and got a table because we were worried that if I went in with them, they'd be like, no, right? And I didn't want to, I wait in the car. So then they got a table, and then like I just walked in looking like 1,000 miles of unpaved road, and just made my way into the bathroom and did the best I could to like clean up myself.
All right.
But I can only do so much in a sink. And then I was staying at my buddy's house, Matt Nix, and his house is like really nice. And I was like, I can't go into your house like this. What am I going to do? So what we did was we went in through the garage, and then I stripped down to my underwear. And those were muddy too somehow, which I don't know the logistics of that. Like maybe my pants were sagging or something like that.
Oh, man.
Or maybe they, I was
just soak through.
That's what I'm thinking, like actual mud water. Yeah. And then like I went to the bathroom and like took a shower, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna plug up the tub just to see how a visual.
Is it bad?
It was so bad. So I showered off and everything, and then what I did was. After I dried off, I got out of the tub and then stepped my foot back in it and then took a picture. And like from here down, there's just you can't see anything. Like it was like dirt as there could be.
That's so bad.
It was. And then my buddy Nick's dad was like, the next day he was like, "What the hell you guys doing clogging up my toilet?" And then like we showed him the picture, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you look like that, because if you didn't look like that then." If I saw what you did to my tub, you would look like that afterwards." So he was like really cool about it. But yeah, so then from that point on, I say front row or no go, because I need to have an exit. In an emergency situation, I could jump over the rail and get out of there.
That's true.
So I went to a concert a couple days after in Pittsburgh, and I was actually Cleveland, and didn't quite get front row. I was with my brother, and I ended up like getting knocked down, just moshing. and the panic that I had.
I would never. No, I would
It was
never.
bad.
I'd be so hyper vigilant. I
It
don't think
was-
I'd be able to enjoy the
It was
music.
bad. And actually, now I think about it, the first couple days after the incident, I had a little bit of PTSD because I sleep on my chest with my head under my pillow. And that was very uncomfortable to
yeah.
be. That was a very.
Oh, God,
so
no.
thankfully, I got over that pretty quickly.
I would not.
Yeah.
You're a better person than me.
So, if you Google System of a Down Riot Fest, I ended up doing an interview with WrestleZone because I know the guys with WrestleZone.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just put out a post like, oh, I almost died at Riot Fest. And he was like, hey, what's going on? And he was like, do you mind if we do a story on this? And I'm like, yeah, I know that you won clicks. It's Nick Hausman from WrestleZone. So I love that guy. So like he's like trying to get the story. And he's like, how can we spin this for wrestling? I was like, well, I'm training to wrestle. I'm with Matt Nix, Chris Grasso, Matt Cross, and Mark Andrews, like a bunch of wrestlers. So then it went like viral.
Oh.
So if you Google System of a Down Riot Fest, every article is about me.
I will Google it.
You will see my real name. I will deny that it is my real name.
I won't remember it anyway. It's fine.
It is my Clark Kent name, so I can play Superman.
Clark Kent name.
Yeah. But that is the first time I almost died, and the first time I went viral.
The first time, like there's another time.
There actually was.
Shut up.
Well, okay. So there's an asterisk next to this one. I'm going to give you the Spark Notes version of it. Yeah,
okay.
It's barely. It's like if the scenario went bad, I would have died.
All right. Okay.
But I wasn't. I was in danger in that aspect. I hiked down a mountain the next month in West Virginia for a family tradition we go to every year. It's just like like scenic, like seeing the valley and stuff. But there's a river at the bottom of the valley, and one year we're like, let's go. We've never done it before. And it took us 3 hours to hike down to it. Yeah. We started with like 8 of us, and it was just 3 of us. Like everyone tapped out.
I did.
It was brutal because it wasn't a path either. It was just like the terrain.
Holy
and
mother,
it was pretty brutal. And I see the river, and I'm like, okay, so it's me and my brother and my friend. I'm like, I want to be the first one to this river because like yes, So I run to the river, and I hear this sound, and I recognize it. But I don't know what it is. I can't place it. I recognize the sound. Like, what is that? And I turn around, and no further than your shoe was a goddamn rattlesnake.
I would have screamed.
If it was a snake, it would have bit me. It did not fit this scenario because it was a snake. But had it bit me, it took us 4 hours to hike back up the mountain. And then I don't know how far away the hospital was.
Yeah, no,
so
that's scary.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
So that one's an asterisk.
Okay, I'll take that.
And then my claim to fame is when I fractured my skull wrestling.
Jesus, mother.
Yeah. If you YouTube Shawn Phoenix injury, it is the top thing. It is a little bit graphic, so there is a warning.
No, I'm good. I'm straight.
Yeah.
You can tell me about it, but I don't want to see it.
You had mentioned, like I was like joking around, and you said you have concussions, and I was like, oh you must not know me, my story, right?
I don't.
Yeah. So back in 2018, October 6th is a date that'll live in infamy. Spark Notes version of this one. I won't, paint the whole picture, but essentially, it was a blood feud. The villains were taking out, one guy goes missing. This partner's, guy goes missing. He looks for a friend. Guy turns on him, brings in these monsters. Now this guy's looking for a newer partner, and the monsters keep taking out these replacements. So now it's like, okay, time to give them a taste of their own medicine. So there's a table on the outside of the ring, and I remember specifically getting my head bounced on the table and looking to the crowd to reach out to the crowd, and there's Rosa Mendez right there from WWE. And we had kind of known each other. And I reached out to her, and she's like, no, come on. And I was like, oh, she's going to love this. Like, we got her, right? She's an action figure, and she's, like, reacting to what we're giving her.
That's kind of dope.
Yeah, I know, right? It's really cool. I love that one. We got really close after this. But then, Insecurity, and then one of the villains is laying down on the table. I'm high flyer. I see him. I go to my bread and butter, and I do a 450 off the top rope, like the turnbuckle, to the outside, trying to take him out. And I kind of overshot the table.
Oh.
And the table didn't necessarily, like, there wasn't a body to break my fall, and there wasn't a table to break my fall. My legs went through the table.
Oh.
And I smacked the gymnasium floor.
Oh, Christ.
With full force of a full 450-degree front flip, probably about a 13-foot drop.
Did you hit your back or your front?
So I fractured my temporal lobe. I fractured my labyrinth in my ear. I fractured my cochlea, which is why I'm deaf in my left ear now.
Yes, I remember. That's why we're...
Yeah. I knocked myself out instantly, obviously.
I mean, yeah. Jesus.
I suffered a subdural hematoma.
Oh, wow.
I was bleeding from my ear. When I came to, I was really confused. I really couldn't grasp what happened.
I mean, understandable.
Yeah, and also because it was such an in-the-moment thing, the people that I was asking, they... there was a game of telephone going on. Okay. Oh, you fell, you hit your head, you hit the guardrail.
Yeah, because some people saw a little bit of something.
Right,
yeah, no,
right. So I was really confused. I'm trying to get my bearings, and then I throw up blood.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just straight blood.
Oh, that's not good.
And that is when I realized, like, the severe... Like, I knew I was in pain, but I was like, I have internal injuries.
Oh my God.
I just threw up in front of Rosa Mendez. I am so embarrassed.
God, you did not. Oh.
That was my thought.
Oh my God.
And then, like, my dad, this was in Pittsburgh, when I wrestled in Pittsburgh at the time, and, like, my family was there.
Oh my God.
My dad was at my merch table. My mom was in the crowd. My aunt and uncle were there. And the two villains had... I was supposed to be killed off for this because of the story.
Well,
I'll pull the curtain back a little bit.
Life,
right.
Jesus.
So I warned my mom, even to this day, like I text her after each match, hey, no injuries, because she's a paramedic and she's a mom, so she worries. I mean, yeah. Right? And it's me. So I remember telling her in her kitchen, hey, it's going to be pretty brutal. My character's going to be killed off. I'm going to be coming back later. This is just, I'm going to be okay. And I guess I may have conveyed that to my dad as well. And I was not okay. And the villains, one of them is one of my best friends. They left through the crowd like they normally did.
Yeah.
And they went to my merch table and they slammed their fists on the merch table and got in my dad's face and said, he's really hurt.
Oh, that was nice.
And then left, which is amazing improvisation. Like that, I got like shaky talking about that because to the fans, all they saw was them intimidating my dad.
And people bleed at matches all the time.
Right.
Especially going through a table.
Yeah.
Well,
fair point. But my dad was also a retired paramedic, so he jumped up and rushed over. And I remember, kind of conveying to him, like, I can't hear. And he was like, hey, don't worry about that. And I was like, I guess, I could have just boxed my ear. Well, then they're putting me on a stretcher. They're asking me everything, how's the pain? I'm like, it's the worst pain I've ever been in. And you can hear a pin drop in the audience. Like,
I bet.
And my mom thought the entire thing was fake.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Because I had told her.
I mean, she believed you though. That's nice. That's good. She was like, that's what he said. I'll believe him.
But she didn't like the calm and quietness of it all. She could tell that everyone was uncomfortable.
Right.
So she said to herself, I don't like this. This isn't right. They're going too far. So she left the building.
Oh.
She was disgusted with what we were doing to these people's emotions.
Oh, bless her heart. That's so nice.
Then she heard the ambulance.
Oh, shit.
So
then she was like,
she stopped and said, well, that couldn't be coming here, could it? And she saw it coming into the parking lot. She goes, well, maybe he is hurt. So then she came around, and I don't really remember this. I've seen the footage of it because thankfully the camera guys recorded all of it.
Oh, well, that's something
incredible. Yeah. But she's like talking to the medic. She's like, is he really hurt? And he's like, yeah, like he's, whatever. I don't know what he conveyed.
Right.
But they took me on a stretcher. I'm in the ambulance. And on the way out there, when I was like, okay, well, do I do the thumbs up? Like, that's so lame. Like, Shawn Phoenix wouldn't do that. So I went. I was like, that works for my character. And it was actually like my banner picture on Facebook for the longest time. I was like, oh, it's so artistic. Like, bleeding from my ear, hematoma I didn't know, but I still remained in my persona, which, I'm a thespian. So I'm in the ambulance, and I hear the door close, and it's just me and whatever, and I hear the door open, and I see my mom, because I'm on a neck brace, I'm on a stretcher, and I see my mom come this way, and it was like right over my head, and our brown eyes met the other's brown eyes, and she goes, "This for real?" So I just want to paint the picture for you.
I think that's beautiful.
On a stretcher, in a neck brace, in an ambulance.
I mean, it's a fair question.
Is there any other form of entertainment where that scenario would be presented?
Yes, I feel like wrestling has done that before, though, hasn't it?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like only pro wrestling.
Yes, only pro
can
wrestling.
A mother see her son?
Yes, and not know if it's for real or not. That's really right. Yeah.
Apparently.
That's sad.
Well, I thought that I had said, yes, it's for real. What I actually said to her was, I have no idea what's going on. Well, so then she still wasn't sure.
That's beautiful.
Because my favorite wrestler and one of my inspirations is Andy Kaufman.
Okay.
Who really blurred the lines of reality and fiction. And when I first got into the business, it was a segment where I came into the ring, a villain attacked me, did the crossroads up to me 3 times as I came down on my head. I wore a neck brace to my Clark Kent job. Just because it was so close to that area that I could have seen a fan, and I wanted to, convey that I was still injured.
Oh.
So it is not unlike me to go above and beyond
so then
for the
she
art.
had a perfect. She had perfect. Okay, then I.
So she had more reason to doubt.
See.
So
You're fooling her all the time. Little boy who cries wolf, I guess.
Right. I don't know what information she got from the medics at the time, but my aunt and uncle were also there, and they kind of told them what they were. We'll follow the ambulance. You go get, my siblings, go get them, meet to the hospital, keep you updated. So I'm in the ambulance. I hear the siren, and I know if an ambulance leaves the scene with a siren on, it is a life or death emergency.
Yeah.
Like, they have the siren too there, but it could just be, for a paper cut, right?
They usually turn it off when
right, unless it is we need to get where we need to go to save this person's life. So I hear that siren and I go, oh, that's not good. But what can I do about it? So I'm in the ambulance, and we probably drive maybe like 3 minutes. And I know the area. I grew up in the area, stone's throw away from where I grew up. And we stop. And I hear the doors open. I'm like, there's no way we're at the hospital. There's no hospital here. There's no way we went that quickly. Sure enough, they're pulling me out of the ambulance. And it was October. I'm in my trunks.
Oh, bird.
Freezing cold.
God, dang.
And they're pulling, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're getting out. Loading me into a helicopter.
Oh, all right.
To fly me to the hospital.
Holy
So it turns out that they had drove to a elementary school, and they landed on the field because there was, So I guess that my family had known that was going to happen because my uncle said that he would follow the ambulance to the landing zone and let them know when we were taking off. And he actually even got video of that too, which is incredible. So I'm in a helicopter, strapped down, neck brace, and they have thrown up twice more at this point too. Because I remember being really panicky about what do I do? I can't move, but they just leaned me over. I'm like, oh, I guess that's a mess.
I mean,
yeah, what can I do, right? They've dealt with worse, right? Sure. So then I remember I'm in the helicopter, and finally, I kept trying to doze off, and they're like, no, wake up, stay awake, stay with me. And I was just I was so tired and obviously, beat up. I was like, thank God, there isn't anyone in here to kind of yell at me, but there was. So then at that point, I'm thinking, this is great. my first time in a helicopter, and I can't even look out the window. Well, next thing I know, we're landing at the hospital, which literally, I don't know if that's how fast they went or if it was just me in and out of consciousness.
I mean, that's entirely
Could have been
possible.
both.
Yeah.
They pulled me out, and then they took me into a room, and there was like probably like 6 to 8 people on both sides of me, popped me up, threw me into a CAT scan, and I remember, like, as I was on thing, like, all right, they're getting ready to cut off my trunks, and I was like, do not cut off my gear. And I was like, if you cut off my trunks, I refuse treatment. Just because, one, I'm sentimental, and two, they're expensive.
Sir, it's your whole ass life.
Yeah, I was like, I'll strip naked. I can do it myself. So I stripped butt naked, and I had a robe, which I knew, no big deal. So they put me in, and I think it's a CAT scan or an MRI, one of the two. And as I'm in there, I start getting nauseous. Like, I'm going to throw up. And I just yelled out, I'm going to throw up. And they pulled me out of there like I was on fire. They leaned me over. I probably about like a 4-foot fall from the area to the floor.
Yeah, it's up high. I've had one.
Yeah, just straight blood. And then they put me back in. And next thing I know, they're taking me into the room. My family's there already. So they must have been flying, which understandable. And then I remember, like, the lights were really bright, so we turned it off, and the doctor came in and said, well, you fractured your skull, and there might be some other things that we're looking into. And I remember thinking, I have a show tomorrow. How are we going to work this into the storyline?
You are out of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
All right, smart Alec. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So you need to correct. You've almost died 3 times. One with an asterisk. You almost died. So you fractured your skull. You were bleeding out of your ear. You're deaf in that ear now.
Yeah, half the rest of my life. Yeah.
You could have died. Add another asterisk, but...
Yeah, had I not gotten treatment there, I would have, definitely died.
Yeah. Or you could have, just landed just a little tiny bit different.
Broken neck, brain dead, anything, and I'm thinking, wow, this show tomorrow.
Oh my God.
And they're like, well, you're probably going to stay here for a little while. And I was like, I've never stayed over at a hospital. This is kind of interesting. So I was like, I got to cancel on that show. So long story short, as I was in the hospital for 6 days. As the time went on, I noticed my sign of a concussion was, decreasing. Because once I kind of realized that I was messed up, I started replaying the whole day. Okay, it's October 6, 2018. I'm at IWC in Elizabeth, PA, Core Time Sports Center. Okay, how does the match go? I'm like, I think I'm good. The only thing I didn't remember was that particular moment.
Okay.
But for the most part, I was good. So why did they keep me in for 6 days?
Yeah.
Well, they saw the subdural hematoma had stopped. So that was good. Cool. That's another reason for me to leave the hospital. So why was I in there for 6 days? Well, at some point, I stopped bleeding from my ear, and I was leaking spinal fluid from my ear.
I don't think that's supposed to happen ever in the whole history of ever.
Never supposed to happen.
My goodness.
Which obviously, spinal fluid goes up the spine and around the brain in the skull. So that was a problem. The way they treat that problem is by putting a catheter in your lumbar spine.
Oh, Lord.
That was pretty brutal.
Oh, Lord.
They gave me, I want to say, like 4 epidurals.
Those hurt too. Like, I've had one. Those are not fun.
It wasn't that bad considering how much pain I was in.
I mean,
just all around.
Right, fair.
But so they gave me those, and then they had to have my family leave the room. And I was like, why are they leaving the room? And they were like,
wow,
this isn't going to be fun to watch. So then I'm like, can I swear on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm like, fuck that. I'm not saying anything, right? Doubt me. And so they closed the door, and now I'm pissed off because they just assumed that I would, emote. I just want to say how quickly you change your mind whenever you're in that scenario. It felt like they were putting a whole goddamn Apache tank in my spine.
God, I cannot even imagine. I've had a spinal tap, but
jeez.
No, God,
And the thing is, They didn't do it like one and done.
No, that's so bad.
Centimeter by centimeter by centimeter,
Oh, I'm
maybe
so
multiple.
sorry. Oh my God.
And it was very obvious I was in pain. My family heard me.
I bet they did.
But then at that point, I had to sleep at a 45-degree angle.
Oh.
Which I'm a chest sleeper. First of all, with all the electrodes and the IVs, I wasn't sleeping well to begin with. So by the second night, it got worse. So you sleep at a 45-degree angle, so gravity can pull majority of the spinal fluid down.
All right, that makes sense.
It does. But it was hell.
Oh my God, yeah, that must have been awful.
Yeah, and then so because of that, the catheter needed to remain inside for so long, so it would stop leaking, and then they needed to make sure it stopped for an extended period of time. So when they remove it, it stayed.
Got you, because they don't want to have to be jamming that.
Well,
oh God, no.
If it started leaking, I would have needed emergency brain surgery.
Good Lord.
Because I had essentially a straight canal straight to my brain and very vulnerable to infection.
Yeah.
So.
That's wow. So that's I almost died 3 times, 2 of them with an asterisk.
Yeah, it gets even weirder thinking about that scenario now because I didn't need surgery in that aspect, but also with the subdural hematoma, a way they would treat that with a brain swelling is they remove a piece of your skull.
Yeah.
So your brain has somewhere to go, right? I fractured my skull. So, thinking about the concussion and the swelling, the brain, when it gets in concussion, it slams onto the skull, and there's no way, no give to it. Essentially, the force went through, and that wasn't as bad as it could have been. But
all right,
if the brain swelled, that little crack there gave it room to swell.
Oh, that's
So in a weird twist of fate, breaking my skull saved my life in some capacity.
Yeah, like you hurt yourself in just the right way.
Yeah, very bizarre.
It was a helpful hurt.
Yeah,
it is very bizarre.
Yeah, right. So then once we removed the catheter, thankfully I didn't need any of the surgery. Then we could start testing to see my balance and vulnerability and stuff like that. And then I had to learn how to walk again, and then see if I could be released home on my own. Had to go up and down steps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember the first thing I did whenever I got cleared, okay, cool, we can walk. I'm taking a shower. I just laid in the shower like a rhino in the Sahara Desert for the first rain of the season, just soaking it all up, sitting down on the floor, just relaxing. And I hear bang, 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 bang. All right, it's your nurse. Because I kept running into that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd finally fall asleep at 6 a.m., and that's when it would be time for the nurse to come in.
Yeah,
then I'd fall asleep. Then I'd have a visitor. I started to get, annoyed by how frequently I would get visitors. And I was like, how dare you? How dare you? You should be thankful.
Why are you caring about me?
Right, yeah.
With you.
And then I was more so upset with myself for being upset at that scenario where I should be thankful for visiting. But then I'm finally getting released, and I wake up and I have 2 friends in the room, and we're talking, and they make a joke, and I laugh, and I felt odd. Something felt weird. And I spoke a little bit more. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this. So as I'm conveying this, I said, I'm talking is the left side of my mouth moving? And looking at it, then we talked more. They're like, no, it's not. So I could feel that my left side of my face was drooping. What is that a sign of?
A stroke?
I hit that nurse call button so goddamn fast. But they assured me, they took it seriously.
Okay.
But they assured me that with the way the brain works, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, that if there's an injury to the left side of the brain, it's going to affect the right side of the body. Because of the fact that I fractured the left side of my skull and the left side of my face, chances are it wasn't a stroke.
Okay.
So we did some tests, and it turns out that I damaged a nerve in my face that went all the way across. And as the day went on, the entire left side of my face, straight down, went paralyzed.
Oh my God.
I guess I shouldn't say paralyzed, but like I could,
like,
yeah, well, like I could feel
numb?
everything. Like I guess I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy.
I was thinking Bell's palsy in my head, but I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to sound
Well,
stupid.
I don't know if it's technically that because like I don't know if that stems from the similar condition or if it's a Bell's palsy like situation. You know,
I mean, it probably was.
Yeah. But yeah, like I could feel it. I just couldn't move it. And then I got like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to breathe fire anymore. Like that's a bummer. So finally when I got out of the hospital, half my face is paralyzed. I'm now dealing with an incredible headache, death in my left ear.
Imagine.
Yeah, it was bad. Actually, they gave me some medication that was amazing. Like, cause I don't really take painkillers. I promise. Yeah. We'll wrap this up after this because I can talk. You'll need more content for next time. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button.
I love you so much.
I lost my train of thought. I don't really take painkillers.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't either.
Okay, so I'm straight edge, so it's like I don't really care for that. But like, if I have something where I'm prescribed a painkiller, I will take it, and then it just like this doesn't work. So like I don't really take them, and I know that like I'm not gonna just keep taking them until they work. Yeah.
Yes.
We're doing an interview. We're wrapping up real quick.
I'm sorry.
We should have said no. No one was in here.
That's silly. We are. Okay, finish though. I want to hear. Yeah.
So
Brutus is scary.
I'm getting like they're like, all right, well here's a Viking. I'm like, I don't want a Viking. But I also wasn't eating. I had no appetite, so I threw it up. And then they're like, okay, well let's give you another one the next day, but make sure you eat. So I ate a banana. I forced a banana. They gave me. I'm like, it's not gonna work. And I had a visitor there, and we're talking, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good, and I threw up.
Oh.
Projectile vomit. But I only had first of all. What's that?
Stomach acid?
Well, yes, and also I had just ate a banana.
Gross.
But I knew that I was nauseous, and I was like, where's the pan? Where's the pan? And for some reason, my then partner at the time decided to put all of her belongings on top of the pan, and she couldn't find it. So I'm like, well, I've already thrown up on the hospital floor once before. The day prior.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, right. Like, you can't just not throw up.
I know.
But I'm talking to my friend, like, I'm gonna throw up, I'm like, whatever. So I lean over, and like, there's, the room is separated by a curtain. There's like another patient there.
Oh my God, no.
Which, I mean, I don't even know if he even reacted to it, but it's funny. Like that's because like my friends are over here, so I'm gonna go this way. But for the first time in my life, projectile vomited, like Linda Blair, like
I'm gonna just say it.
Right? Like I didn't know that was a real thing, right?
It is. Oh God, it's awful.
But I only had consumed a banana. It smelled like a banana milkshake.
Oh.
It was the most pleasant throw up I've ever had. For some reason, I didn't have any stomach acid that I could recall. It was just pure banana, and I was like, oh, my throat. Sorry about that. And then I apologized to my buddy. He goes, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. So then I did physical therapy for the concussion. I was only on the injured in that protocol for about a month. Wasn't that bad. Then I had to do physical therapy for my face paralysis.
Okay.
And then I had to do physical therapy for my balance, and my balance still does affect me to this day.
Okay.
And in reality, I did actually get cleared to wrestle. This happened in October. I got cleared to wrestle in January. Incredible. That's not a long time at all.
No, it's really not.
Right. But I knew that my balance was still off. And I was like, I could go in there and punch and kick, but that's not me. So I had to wait to see a doctor and finally get tested and then start physical therapy. So that by the time I finished the physical therapy for my balance, because your balance is made up of three things: your eyes, your foundation, and your inner ears. So I would do tests like walking with my eyes closed.
Okay.
On a cushion.
Oh God.
So you're taking away two of those good, like a tripod.
Yeah,
You're taking away two of those stable legs. And you're relying on your inner thing. So stuff like that. Which is incredible. They know how to do that.
Yeah.
So then come July, I finished it up. I'm like, all right, I feel good. I do a couple practice matches, and well, September. Wait a second. Well, October would be 1 year since I got injured. So we waited until
All right.
October,
I kind of like it.
literally a day removed, 1 year anniversary from the day that I got injured. The villains were in the ring. The lights went off. The lights came back on. There I was. And then, like, I'd done another appearance like that before, but this time, like, I actually like got physical, and I got on the microphone and I just promoted the next show.
Nice.
And, yeah, so that was really cool. And one of the cool things about it is two things, and I promise I'll wrap it up. What I got a T-shirt design of my skull fracture, and it has like all my information, and on the back it had all the injuries that I had. And everyone was like, "That's a really cool shirt," and I was like, "That's pretty badass."
Really cool.
And it was also funny because the show that I got injured on was called Unbreakable, right? So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to use that as a nickname now. And like a lot of people were like, because they were like, isn't that ironic? And I was like, well, like that's kind of poetic, because flesh and bone can break, but my love for professional wrestling remains strong.
Okay.
That is unbreakable. And I have that tattoo right here.
Oh.
But like the poster of the show was like broken glass, like the movie, so we put that on there. And then a year later, I had a similar x-ray done, but on the back of the shirt, it had the countdown of how long it had been.
That's dope. I like
cool,
that.
yeah.
No, that's really cool.
So
right.
that's part of the story. And then another thing, I realized that day I shaved my face for that show, and I was like, well, time to grow an injury beard. Thinking that I wouldn't be out that long, but a year long, and like this is too long for me. I was trying something different. But I had a very, very long beard, and I hated it. Hated it. And but it's funny because like when I see pictures, like that's that time in my life where things were bizarre. But so then I came back, wrestled with a beard, then got rid of it. And then by the next show, when I had finally shaved, nobody recognized me.
No, you get used to seeing people in the beard, and that's.
Right.
Oh, my purse just fell. All right, so yes, I think I don't want them to get mad at us.
Right. I got a 5-hour drive.
I love. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so.
I was gonna stay over, but I was like, you know what?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad.
No, it was on me because I booked a hotel.
Okay.
I booked a motel.
I heard.
I was going to do the FE seminar as well, which meant that I would have to leave.